The meeting will come to order. Welcome to our June 24th regular board meeting. A special thank you to everyone who is attending this evening. We appreciate your presence. I would like to inform our audience that our board just left executive session to discuss personnel matters, architect selection for New Bryson Middle School, sale of out parcel at Oakview Elementary School, property acquisition for Fountain Inn Elementary School, a student discipline appeal, and advice on legal matters, including the procurement code. No decisions were made and no votes were taken. Our first item on the agenda is 1.01, welcome, prayer, and pledge of allegiance. Please stand for our prayer and remain standing for our pledge of allegiance. And Ms. Middleton, our board secretary, will lead us in the prayer at this time.
Dearest Lord, as we come together for this final board meeting and embark on our summer journeys wherever they may take us, we pause to thank you for the wisdom and guidance you have blessed us with throughout this school year. Tonight we pray your presence with us will help us to make careful and well thought out decisions. We ask your blessing for the months ahead to keep us safe, bring us joy and respite as we spend precious time with family and friends. Help us to return from our summer break with renewed purpose as we once again come together for the important work that lies ahead in the upcoming school year. On a personal note, I would like to say it has been a privilege and an honor to write and offer the prayer at our board meetings this past school year. As I step away from the secretary's position, I do so with sadness, but also very proud to have served in this role. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Middleton. Ms. Linda Leventis-Wells, would you like to introduce our special student who will be leading us in the pledge tonight?
I would love to. Tonight we welcome Claire Cooper to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Claire is a rising third grader at Summit Drive Elementary School. Claire is a dedicated and determined and a compassionate young lady. She strives in the classroom with her quiet leadership, but really, she loves to write. She finds joy in swimming, playing soccer, basketball, and loves tennis with her friends. When she graduates from high school, she's going to follow her dad's footsteps and attend Clemson University. Claire is accompanied by her parents tonight, Michael and Lauren Cooper, and her little sister, Annie, and her proud principal, Jennifer Woody. Please welcome us, and Claire, would you please now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and you may be seated. And thank you so much, Claire, for leading us in the pledge tonight, and thank you for being a difference maker at Summit Drive Elementary. Our next matter of business is to approve the consent calendar. The consent calendar includes items 2.01 through 2.06. We have a recommended motion from the administration. Do I have a maker of the motion?
Madam Chairman, I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Mr. Sailors has made a motion. Mrs. Mosley has made a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our third matter of business is 3.01, appearance of visitors, and we have no visitors tonight. Our fourth matter of business is 4.01, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Royster.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Stiles. Actually, we have two brief reports tonight, but before I engage in those reports, I do want to recognize the newly appointed interim principal at Hillcrest High School, April Reese. April's right there. She is serving with distinction there now as an assistant principal, and we appreciate her taking the leadership role there at Hillcrest for the coming year. Dr. Jarrett has accepted a position at the district level in Spartanburg District 2. We're very appreciative of April's willingness to step forward and help us through that transition process and to lead the school for the coming year. Congratulations. As we like to do each year, we keep tally of the scholarships offered to our students. The class of '24, that total amount was $168,047,000. And for the class of 2025, the total scholarship amount is $169,022,644. So we're pleased to present that information to you tonight. Secondly, I'd like to share with you a progress report on our efforts regarding shared ownership and review of special education programming this year. We'll go on into next year. So we had over 1,800 responses on a SPED survey sent to the parents of students in our system. We conducted multiple forums conducted by a third party from outside the district. We had 4 parent forums. We had 250 people registered, 61 participated. We had 2 public forums. The public forum is open to anyone who wished to come and speak. Could be someone who had a child in school previously, or could just simply be an interested person in the community. We had 126 registered, 49 participated. We conducted one of those in person and one virtual. In the 4 forums, we spread them regionally over the county. We had 3 employee forums. We had 270 participants in them. Topics for the forums were identified based on 2 primary factors. Really the first one more so than anything else. How frequently a topic was mentioned in the surveys and how beneficial additional feedback would be in determining comprehensive solutions. Give you an example there. Somebody put something in there related to the federal law. Well, that really, we don't have any ability to act on that. So that might not have been included. Things over which we would have the ability to exercise change or control. So the forum topics might best be summarized in these 3 categories as far as the frequency with which they were mentioned, the depth of ideas that were expressed in each of these areas: communication, transitions, IEPs, and listening. Other topics such as staffing, employee allocations, and employee training came up frequently in the surveys, but those topics are under review. As you may recall, we've engaged an external party to review special ed services, and they're already addressing those, and they will be provided copies of all the survey results that we have. In looking at and providing recommendations to us, balancing teacher aid shortage, budgetary concerns, professional development thresholds, employee capacity, and we'll also further explore topics in the summits that we have planned for September of this year. So these are some of the key priorities, concerns, discussions that emerged in the area of communication. Parents expressed a strong desire for a single, consistent digital platform for managing special ed communication. Allow for archived IEPs, evaluations, and data. Push notifications for behavior incidents, missed assignments, IEP meetings. Providing test results, including SC Alt, in a timely, accessible format. Offer 2-way communications options. Ensure all teachers who work with students are on the platform. Parents requested a comprehensive parent resource guide, including special education processes, terms, and IEP procedures, contact protocols and escalation steps, available district and community services, events, and enrichment opportunities. Additionally, communication. Maintain a special ed webpage on every school website. Provide information about instructors, therapists, contact information, etc. Explore hiring a coordinator of family partnerships and special education support to work with parents to resolve issues, provide trainings and resources for parents. Provide more frequent progress monitoring towards IEP goals by providing options of how parents can help their child at home. Provide information on what their child is working on in class and areas of success and continued need. Transitions, to improve student transitions through improving communication between existing teachers and future teachers or new teachers when transitioning between districts, schools, and grade levels. Establish a transitioning onboarding checklist, make the checklist available on the school's website, and provide to parents, including the expected timeline for implementation of services, revising IEPs, etc. Additionally, in transitions, provide placement letters for students with disabilities as soon as possible. Consider placement for students with low incident disabilities in schools with adequate space for the disabled students' siblings to also attend. Provide alternate options for back-to-school meetings to explore multiple options to better accommodate students' needs. Establish and communicate pathways options. Provide all the options for completion pathways for students as they transition between grades and schools, including diploma, employability credential, and certificate. Explore assistive technology transitions. Create an archive list of approved assistive technologies to eliminate delays families sometimes face when transitioning between schools. Conducting IEP meetings. Develop additional training for principals and teachers. Provide training to ensure compliance, preparation to teach students with specific disabilities, etc. Provide workshops and forums for parents to ask questions, share resources, and better advocate as partners. IEP meeting participation. Ensure parents and staff are aware of the benefits and fully encourage student participation of transition age, which is 13 and over. Include career and technology teachers and related arts teachers when appropriate. Ensure all potential opportunities are discussed with the student and parent. Some examples are Project Search, Connections Cafe, statewide life programs, etc. Also, enhance training on best practices. Continue exploring ways to improve the IEP meeting process. Share recommendations made by parents to create a better experience. Ensure compliance and understanding around prior written notice. Train parents and principals on prior written notice timeline and purpose. Consider multiple meetings for complex IEPs. Explore options for splitting IEP meetings into two parts when there are particularly complex issues to be discussed. Other stakeholder considerations to be explored. Consider the allocation of SPED personnel based on services versus caseload. Explore additional tools and strategies to address students with dyslexia. Explore additional secondary course options for students on the non-diploma path. Explore additional days in the summer for SPED teachers and staff for articulation, planning, IEP meetings, etc. Ensure students with disabilities are included in all school activities, events, enrichment, etc. Work intentionally to make sure students with disabilities, particularly self-contained, are notified of opportunities and made to feel welcome. Consider creating an electronic student profile form for parents to complete and update their child's interests, needs, etc. Consider establishing PTA councils, parent mentoring groups, etc., focused on students with disabilities. Now, that's a lengthy list of things to explore, to give further consideration to develop strategies around. So for the summer, we are beginning with exploring upgrades to backpack and what other tools might be out there to encompass. You saw numerous technology requests in there, but to see what can be done to include SC Alt scores in backpack, enhanced communication tools for IEP, a backpack app for parents, IEP progress monitoring option for parents to track progress, and push notifications for parents, behavior grades, unsubmitted assignments, etc. We will work on those things through the summer. Establish an administrator focus group to help with students transitioning to new schools, grade levels. Establish a principal focus group to generate ideas to ensure all students feel a sense of belonging, particularly back to school nights as we begin the next school year and other school activities and events throughout the school year. We planned our special ed summit for September 22 and 23 to explore themes that manifested during the surveys and community and staff meetings to further flesh out those things that I listed for you in this presentation tonight. It's a reminder that we have American Institutes for Research who have been engaged to conduct the external review of systems, procedures, policies, staffing, alignment between special ed and general ed, and communication. Their final report is expected in December of 2025. We are especially grateful for the parents, the teachers, and community members who shared their time and their voice. Your input is helping us to build a more inclusive and responsive system for all and each of our students. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Royster. That was an excellent update and report. Appreciate you for sharing. Does anybody have a question regarding any of the content on that report?
I have one question.
Ms. Mosley?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that update, Dr. Royster. I just wanted to be reminded, and I know we have been told, but please remind me, in case I get questions, about the summits that are scheduled in September. That is going to include parents
Yes.
who we are selecting, or how are they identified?
We
Or do
are
we know yet?
selecting and now we're looking at trying to, because we want to make sure we've got a broad cross-section from not just the 13 categories, but within those 13.
Okay,
Also want a broad representation, elementary, middle, and high,
okay.
and ensure geographic representation, but we would like to have a preference towards those who attended some of the public meetings
Okay.
and or filled out a survey, because they've already obviously shown themselves to be very engaged.
So will those
Not to say we might not pick up some others as well.
so will those summits include, because I know we did teacher,
Yes,
so it'll be teachers and parents,
teachers, parents,
administrators?
administrators,
Okay.
special ed
So it'll be a
services.
blend of folks
Yes,
coming, okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
And we're still working through those details.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Any other questions? Okay. Again, thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you, Dr.
Royster.
Stiles.
Our next 17 items are action items. Our first action item is 5.01, revision of board policy ACB, equal opportunity and fair treatment. We have a recommended motion from the Committee of the Whole to revise board policy ACB as presented. This motion does not require a second. Any discussion? Okay. All right, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
The motion carries. Our second action item is 5.02, appointments to Coordinated School Health Advisory Council. We have a recommended motion from the Committee of the Whole to approve the parent and community members of the Coordinated School Health Advisory Council as presented for the term July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. This motion does not require a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our third action item is architect selection for New Bryson Middle School. We have a recommended motion from the Committee of the Whole. This motion does not require a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our fourth action item is 5.04, City of Greenville easement at Blythe Academy, City of Greenville public access easement, and City of Greenville easement Exhibit A. We have a recommended motion from the Committee of the Whole. This motion does not require a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our fifth action item is Upstate Greenways and Trails Alliance permanent and perpetual easement and right-of-way at Hollis Academy. We have a recommended motion from the Committee of the Whole. This motion does not require a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our sixth action item is sale of out parcel at Oakview Elementary School. We have a recommended motion from administration. I need a maker of the motion.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Sailors?
I move to approve the administration's recommendation related to the sale of this parcel.
Mr. Sailors has made a motion, and Mrs. Doolin has made a second. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, due to my familiarity with parties involved, I'm going to be recusing myself from this vote.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries, and I'd like to let our audience know that we'll be selling this piece of property for $1,130,000. Our seventh action item is property acquisition for Fountain Inn Elementary School. We have a recommended motion from administration. I need a maker of the motion.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Sailors?
I make a motion to accept the administration's recommendation.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a second from Ms. Goodwin Caldwell. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
The motion carries. Our eighth action item is 5.08, student discipline appeal. We have a recommended motion from the administration. I need a maker of the motion.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to uphold the decision of the hearing officer denied the appeal.
Mrs. Brett has made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Middleton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our ninth action item is 5.09, Procurement Review Panel. Dr. Royster, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Dr. Stiles. We don't have very many of them. They don't occur very often. But we have an appeal of a procurement decision. And with the revision of our procurement code to align with the new state procurement code, there is a requirement for a procurement review panel. The previous process was there was an appeal through the administration, and if a person was not satisfied with the administration's decision, they appealed it to the board, and the board appointed a subcommittee of the board. That process has changed with the procurement code. Now there is, for lack of a better description, a third-party review panel for which there is a board member who serves as a member and chairs the panel. Then each of the following individuals, the board chair, the board vice chair, the chief business official, and the superintendent, each appoint a member, and the members must represent certain aspects of the community, contractor community, A&E, people who provide services, business people, that we would each of us appoint a person, and they would review either a review of all the paperwork and the decision to date, or a hearing can be conducted in either manner, and determine whether to uphold the procurement decision made by the chief procurement officer that had already been reviewed by the chief business official.
Thank you, Dr. Royster. Do we have a motion to nominate someone for this position on the board?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
I'd like
Ms.
to
Mosley?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Scott Klein to serve as the chair of the Procurement Review Panel in accordance with the district's procurement code and applicable South Carolina law.
Okay, we have a second. I think that might have been Ms. Morrison-Fair first. Any discussion?
And just for a point of clarification, Dr.
Yes.
Stiles, this appointment runs through June 30th, 2026.
Thank you. This appointment runs through June 30th, 2026. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Webb. Any discussion?
Do this.
Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our 10th action item is 5.10, Community Eligibility Program Resolution. Dr. Royster, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Dr. Stiles. You all will not be familiar with this because it's a new requirement passed upon act of the General Assembly. we're simply doing what we have been doing, and that is all of our schools for which we have community eligibility, that is the school community has a certain threshold of pupils in poverty, and every student in that school becomes eligible for free meals. We had a majority of the schools in our district reach that threshold. In fact, I believe by count, there's about 82 of them. And we have served them. And other schools that do not reach that threshold, the students who are eligible for free and reduced meals apply for and receive free and reduced meals, but the entire school does not eat free, because it would impose a significant financial burden on the food service program to provide 100% free meals throughout the district. So that's business as usual for us for several years. The difference is there is now a requirement that the Board of Trustees in each district in the state declare through resolution that they are participating in the community eligibility program, number one, which we are, at all those schools which were eligible, 81 rather than, I might have said 82, 81 sites, and that we are not extending CEP to the other 12 schools, because that would be 100% cost borne by the Food and Nutrition Services program, which we could not sustain that over time. So again, what we've been doing for several years, but now there is a requirement. One, I think the primary requirement is to affirm we're participating in it. Then secondarily, if we're not picking up the difference, to state that we're not doing so. And so you have a recommended resolution from the administration that assures compliance with Act 23 S425 regarding public announcement decision by the board.
Thank you, Dr. Royster. We have a recommended motion from administration. Do I have a maker of the motion?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Sailors?
I move to accept the administration's recommendation and approve the resolution regarding community eligibility program participation as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Sailors, and we have a second from Mrs. Mosley. Any discussion? Ms. Goodwin-Caldwell?
Bert, what are the names of the 12 schools that we are not serving with this?
Ron, do you have them with you? If you'd step up to the microphone and just read those out.
While he's looking for that, did food service not have excess in their budget in order to supply these 12 schools?
Yes, but they could do it for a year. They might could do it for 2 years. Then that money's gone. And as
So
you
what is the plan, since we're not going to serve these 12 schools?
Well, the plan is the students in those schools who qualify for free and reduced lunch will get free and reduced lunch, and the others whose income level does not qualify them for that, their parents would pay for their lunch.
Okay, you got the name.
Okay, yes. Augusta Circle Elementary School, Bell's Crossing Elementary School, Buena Vista Elementary School, Malden High School, Monarch Elementary School, Oakview Elementary School, Pelham Road Elementary School, Riverside High School, Riverside Middle School, Rudolph Gordon, Stone Academy, and Reedy Laurel Elementary School.
Okay, since they are so used to us doing the free breakfast and lunch, is there going to be somebody that is going to be in charge of getting those applications done for the ones that are free and reduced lunch at those schools?
Ms. Calmile, those schools, this is not new. We have not been serving those schools free. They have been collecting free and reduced applications, so we're not changing anything. We do, however, as a district, offer universal free breakfast across all schools because we're able to do that.
Okay, so this is basically for the lunch?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's no change to our practice at all. Okay. The only thing that's a change is you have to adopt a resolution that says we're doing it.
Okay. All right. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin-Caldwell. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our 11th action item is 5.11, FY26 General Obligation Bonds Resolution. Dr. Royster, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Dr. Stiles. Each year, you all approve the issuance of GO bonds, general obligation bonds. Those bonds are the bonds that we use to fund the best bond repayment, and the best bond repayments will continue till 2029. It's also the funds that we use for all of the capital projects that we do, the purchase of equipment that's used, the new construction, the renovation, predominantly are funded by GO bonds. Some of that, you all have been able to help with the funding of by taking revenue in excess of expense in the general fund budget, which created fund balance, and move it to the building fund, and that helps to pay for those projects, but certainly does not cover all of them. So what you're doing is authorizing us to sell GO bonds in the coming year at this projected amount needed to fund the best bond payments and our long-range capital improvement projects. Now, we don't sell them until in the fall, and I think we've been selling 2 series, Robin. And we won't know precisely till we know the bond market in the weeks leading up to the sale, the exact amount. So it's up to, not to exceed 215 million. Because what we're also watching is to make certain that we do not exceed the debt service millage, which is right now sitting at 48.5. We don't want the millage to go up. We'll make sure we have the funding for the projects. But this is the normal thing that you all do every June to allow us to move forward with that sale in the fall of next year. Now, certainly any questions board members might have, we'll answer those.
Thank you, Dr. Royster. We have a recommended maker of the, we have a recommended motion from administration. I need a maker of the motion. Do I have a maker of the motion?
Madam Chairman,
Yes. Thank you, Mr.
make a motion
Sailors.
to approve the administration's recommendation.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Middleton. Any discussion? Ms. Brett?
So if we do this every June, what, you say that we don't really know until September-ish how much the ask is. What were the past 2 years? How much have we approved the last 2 years?
So for this FY '25, it was 155 million. And
Robin, your microphone's either not on or you're not close enough to it.
okay, this year, FY '25, it was 155 million. Get it for sure here. And I don't have the year before that.
Do you think is it usually right around that amount, or?
It is. I can tell you what the budget was.
The long-range facility plan, capital improvement plan that we present to you, it's a long range. You're looking at it, it's like 10 or 12 years. It is always based on an expectation of a minimal amount of mill value growth, generally around 2% for each of those years. So that's already built in that there's an assumption of mill value growth. So those numbers in each successive year, even with a constant mill amount, and it was 51.
51.
And we did not need more than 48.5. What was that? 3 years ago?
This year, actually.
This year, 2 years ago. One in this year. So we try to make sure we don't ever want to be over that mill amount. But we have our whole table of construction, renovation, and addition is based on an increasing mill value over time.
Don't have the FY '24 in front of me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brett. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our 12th action item is 5.12, debt service budget. We have a recommended motion from administration. I need a maker of the motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Middleton?
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 debt service budget.
Thank you. Do I have a second? We have a second from Ms. Goodwin Caldwell. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
The motion carries. Our 13th action item is 5.13 FY26 Best Service Budget. We have a recommended motion from administration. I need a maker of the motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Middleton?
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 best debt service budget.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Sailors. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our 14th action item is 5.14, Building Fund Budget. Dr. Royster, would you like to speak to this item?
Just simply to draw attention of the board to the changes in it from the time it was presented in April, primarily based on our experience in the ongoing escalating construction cost and discussions with general contractors throughout the upstate. So we have increased funding for MARS, which is projected maintenance, long-term maintenance program for roof replacement, HVAC systems, generally building systems, paving, all those sorts of things that we do to extend the life of facilities, and also to increase the construction budgets for Bryson Middle School, Fountain Inn K-8, Ralph Chandler Middle School, Food Nutrition Services Center, and Central Office Addition based on current construction cost increase experience being felt throughout the market. The other item that I would draw to your attention is you may notice that we are recommending pulling up Donaldson Career Center to start construction on that project sooner. And we're able to do that through the amount of GO bonds, the spending down of interest earned on the capital side, and the fact that pulling Donaldson forward actually reduces the cost of it slightly. So I just wanted to draw your attention to those changes that differ from the presentation in April on the long-range facility plan, and you'll see a spreadsheet summary of that on page 175 of 210.
Thank you, Dr. Royster. We have a recommended motion from administration. I need a maker of the motion.
Madam Chairman, I move to approve the administration's recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Sailors, and that second was from who? Dr. Presley. Thank you. All right, any discussion? Okay, Ms. Leventis Wells.
So Dr. Royster, with all of these added additions to the budget for these, like the food service, the difference in the cost that we were told for this, for the district office, et cetera, where is that going to put us in offsetting this cost over the next year or two? And it's millions and millions. So are there any, I would never prevent a school from being built, never. But I'm just wondering, do we look at maybe extending the beginning of renovation for some of the buildings? Or are you sure, are you sure that there's going to be this funding and no one, constituents, people in the community are not going to be held accountable for that? It comes from the bonds, et cetera.
It's coming off of the bonds, it's coming off of interest income, it's coming off of fund balance that you've dedicated for that purpose, and it is inside the current millage rate. There's only been three increases to debt service millage since 2000, Robin, and one decrease to debt service millage. So it's inside your debt service millage, as we have operated for a number of years now. The thing with pushing them out
Yes, sir.
As soon as we push them out, we're putting an escalator on there for inflation for pushing them out. Actually, Donaldson, we're reducing the budget for Donaldson because we're pulling it in. Now, the ones that we're already scheduled to start, we're having to increase them because the amount of escalation on them wasn't sufficient.
And we're sure that's going to be enough with this added addition, you know,
Well-
with everything that's happening right now.
The problem is, until we bid it, we will not know for sure. And one of the great instabilities in this is this tariff business.
Right.
And about 12% of our building cost, steel. Well, if 12% of the building cost is steel, and maybe it's going to go up 25%, maybe it's going to go up 50%, or maybe it's not going to go up. We don't know till we put it out on the street. And the changes that we're recommending here are based on the prices we're seeing and the prices we're hearing from GCs bidding other jobs. So what might happen in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years is difficult to predict, but we're always, construction cost maybe briefly dropped in 2010, 11, but otherwise they have consistently gone up. It's just been a matter of how much.
Right.
So in general terms, our experience over a number of years is if you push something out, you're going to pay more for it. If you're able to pull it in and do it sooner, you're going to pay less for it. But that may not always be the case.
Right. Thank you for that explanation.
Ms. Leventis Wells, Ms. Doolin?
But was there a previous discussion about splitting the cost of the fans service center with fans?
Yes, Fans is paying, what was the split on it, Robin?
It was 50/50, but with the cost increase, FAND is kicking in a little bit more.
And we have the possibility of recapturing our 50% from Fans.
And that is the plan.
In other words, at some point, it should have all been paid for by Fans.
So is the 14 million cost the total cost, or is that what the district is putting in?
No, that's the total cost of the project.
Total cost.
So the district's total cost is going to be roughly 7 million, you think?
Yeah,
But Fans is going to pay that back?
yes, over time.
How much time?
It depends on what rate they grow their fund balance.
I mean, ballpark, like 3 years or 10 years?
It's around 8 years currently.
Around 8 years. Would it be possible, instead of taking out a bond to pay this, would it be possible for us to just float that from fund balance? Because we're not using fund balance to meet any of our annual budget needs like we had in previous years. And then Fans pays us back as they're able to.
There's already money from fund balance in here. We don't keep the revenue streams separate. How much from fund balance is in those projects? Do you know right offhand, Robin? What was the last amount the board approved?
I believe it was for just that project.
No, for all of them.
I think we moved a little over 60 million.
So 60 million in our construction budget is coming from fund balance that you've already approved.
But that's for everything, for the schools as well, right?
Yes.
Well,
I don't know what, and Robin's probably put it in specific projects. Do you have it by project?
We do not assign general fund balance to specific projects because of arbitrage rebate.
To keep it separate so it's not subject to arbitrage.
Well, it is all combined into one pot that we pay our bills out of. So.
But it's not subject to arbitrage,
No, it's not.
which the bond funds are. In other words, if we don't spend them in a certain amount of time, any interest we collect on them, we got to send to the Treasury.
Well, it just seems like we could afford that without taking a bond out for the fan service center.
Well,
And then use
we
that
can put the whole 7 million out of the fund balance towards it. It's just a matter of semantics. You're taking $60 million from fund balance and putting in the building fund. You could pay for that and this too solely out of that. We just never set it up that way.
Well, but we have to pay interest on the bonds, so I just was trying to find a way to save money.
You've already done that by allocating $60 million out of fund balance. That's $60 million that you don't have to sell bonds for. And in fact, that would send us over to 48.5.
Right, but we don't have another entity that, I mean, other than taxpayers that are going to pay those bonds back. But if Fans was going to pay back the amount for this building, it seems like we wouldn't.
Which they are.
Right. But you're asking for a higher bond amount to make up the difference in the inflation and the price, when I think we could fund it ourselves without a bond.
We are funding it ourselves.
But this.
Well, if you want us to put all the fund balance toward the Fans building, we can do that. That's not a problem.
You don't think that we could find $7 million more to loan to Fans? It's essentially a loan.
I don't think at this point in the year that is the wisest financial move. We normally do not come to you with a recommendation about fund balance until the auditors close the book on the previous year, which generally speaking is November, when they present the external audit report. Then normally we come in January and February and recommend that you take some of that money and apply it towards non-recurring cost.
Last question, will you remind me what the square footage is planned for the service center?
What's the square footage of the Fans building, Jamie?
18,000. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ms. Doolin. Mr. Sailors?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. A couple of my questions I think have already been answered, but Jamie, since you're sitting on the hot seat for Carlin tonight, let me ask you this, just to clarify. Part of the reduction in the cost for Donaldson is the fact that the property is pretty well dead flat. It's easy to build on.
That is correct. It is a previously developed property, so the amount that we would have anticipated spending on clearing, grubbing, and preparing the site for construction was saved by the fact that we got a previously developed site.
And to Dr. Royster's point, backing it up 2 years cuts out that level of inflation.
Correct as well.
Okay. Also mentioned, I wanted to get some clarification because I'm seeing in my work world little clauses in contracts now about tariffs where this bid is legitimate or acceptable until this happens. And there's a trigger factor in there that if a tariff goes up, we have no control, but the price goes up. And quite frankly, I've never seen a memo from any vendor or any subcontractor reducing the price. So once it goes up, it's up. Is that a fair analogy?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
In construction, we call it up like a rocket and down like a feather.
Correct. And my point being is, are you seeing those same caveats in the contractual agreements that we're seeing as well?
We are, and a lot of times the force majeure clause is always there for that purpose, and that was what we were seeing back when COVID had its impacts on us, was people reaching for force majeure.
And then we're seeing between, depending on the size of the project, the location of the project, we're seeing between 5 and 8% annual increase. So Mrs. Levinas Wells had a very valid question. What would it do to kick the can down the road a little bit with a project or two? But we may save money today, but we're going to pay more tomorrow. Is that still a fair analogy?
That is a fair assessment, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Sailors. Any more questions? Mr. Cochran?
With the central office addition, and I understand about kicking the can down the road potentially, in normal times that could cost us some more money. However, going back to the long-range facilities plan, capital improvements program updates narrative, it starts out by saying impacts from tariffs, which we've discussed, and an uncertain labor force availability have made it extremely difficult to predict costs in the current construction marketplace. The threat of tariffs has also has had a destabilizing effect on commodity markets. The mechanical and electrical disciplines appear to be most affected by the volatility in the construction market. Recent impacts are reported to be as high as 25% for materials and that are used by these disciplines. Site development also currently remains high. So even though I understand that prices may go up, are they likely to go up 25% like it seems that they may be going up now? I mean, if everything's up 25%, are we thinking that's the growth is going to be sustained in that over the next 5 years? Or is this volatility we're seeing hopefully more of a short-term thing as we are currently projecting it?
It's really too early to know any of that, and too difficult to forecast that. You know, if you look at tariffs just specifically, at 25% or 50% or 12% or whatever it is, then at least steel, we're talking about tariffs on steel, that's probably about 25 to 50% if it goes that direction on 12% of our cost. And those others are obviously certain percentages of our cost. We will know more when we bid the next project. So the next biggest one to come online will be Northwest Middle School, and we're seeing them at risk. So we got contractor submissions now, Jamie, or they're in, I don't know, what's the deadline?
The button. We've got a contractor that has been selected to participate at Northwest.
So they're going through the cost evaluation process
They're in pre-construction.
now. So we'll have a better handle on at least what we've already got in design. And the fans is ready to go out the door. Same process. The drawings are finalized on fans.
That's correct as well.
They're close to final on this building. Further out on the others that were listed.
I think when I totaled up the entire amount of cost overruns for these projects, it was, I believe, $17.2 million. The central office addition, coincidentally, is almost the exact same price, $17.15 million. As we are currently projecting it. So even though I understand that pushing things off potentially could cause us to spend more money, still with all of this current volatility and having no way of making a good projection, but thinking that the costs are really going to be high in the short term, I just do not believe that it would be a good use of taxpayer money to continue this project under those current conditions. And it seems like for the time being, we could save $17.15 million. Is it possible at this point for us to consider putting that project indefinitely on pause for the central office addition?
7 votes of this board can pause any of those projects. We gave you all a recommendation in April. That was not a new recommendation. That recommendation had been in a long-range facility plan for, I believe, 2 years now. You've seen yourself crowds that will not fit in this boardroom. This building was constructed in the early 1970s, and it has been an excellent building, and it served the district well. But it will not serve the district well in the future. Boardroom is not big enough now. The office space at some point will become insufficient. All the areas of the building are in use now. Several years ago, district offices were housed not only here, but in 14 other locations throughout the district. And we were able to consolidate those down from those 14 to this building, MT Anderson, Space Drive, and the 4 bus centers. So it has become much more efficient. I think this thing that's been observed earlier tonight will still hold true. I don't see that the prices will substantially come down. They may not go up as much as people believe they might go up, but I don't see, it's not been our experience I've been around this for school construction close to 2.5 decades, close to 3 maybe. Jamie for a long period of time, Scott Carlin, others around the organization. It's not our experience that prices tend to go down. Now, this could be an anomaly. You can't always predict everything. But if the past is a predictor of the future, construction prices are likely not going to go down. Perhaps and hopefully they will not go up as much as some might fear them to go up. So, you know, you can change or defer any of these projects. But I suspect that deferring this, often like deferring maintenance on buildings, ends up costing you more in the future than it would cost you if you proceeded to do it now. So that's just a decision that members of the board will have to make.
Right, and I see that this was, of course, these plans were brought to us in April. However, like I say, we now have those $17.2 million in cost overruns that we certainly were not aware of just a few months ago, that was going to be coming up. So if we did choose to pause that project, what would be the process for doing that, and what would be the timeline, considering the agenda for tonight? Is that something that could be brought up tonight, or does that need to be at a future meeting based on tonight's agenda and so forth?
Well, I guess the first thing that I would want to say to make sure I say in response, generally speaking in construction, a cost overrun references a project already engaged and contracted for, and you exceed the contracted price. So there has been no cost overrun on any of these projects because we've not engaged in a contract for which we've secured a price. We believe that our estimate is insufficient based on the current market. Because generally speaking, when you say cost overrun to people in construction, they believe you've led a project and you've exceeded your project budget. We've not done that. The only process would be you have a recommended motion, you can make a different motion. There is no other process. And I guess that motion would depend on what your intent would be, either not to do it at all, to do it in 2 years, to do it in 3 years. I don't know. Your motion would depend on your intent.
Well, I would like to make a motion that that we currently.
Excuse me, Mr. Cochran, we do have a motion on the floor.
I would like to, excuse me. So I would like to amend the motion to take out the central office addition and to put the, basically to take the central office addition out of it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cochran. We have an amended motion. Does anyone have a question or need to hear that again? The amended motion? Okay, all right. Any, Dr. Royster, would you like to speak to that amended motion?
Yes, we would need direction from the board of where to apply the 17 some odd $1 million. Pull another project up? What is the desire of the board to, because remember, all of our long-range plan is predicated on that amount of millage over a period of time. That's how we're able to give you a 10, 12-year long-range facility plan. And we can't hold bond money, and we can hold fund balance money. So we would want direction as to what to do with that 17 million.
Would that be need to be a part of the amended motion, Dr. Royster?
You don't have to do it tonight, but it would have to be done in August prior to the bond sale. Is that right, Robin? Couldn't be any later than August.
That's correct.
Okay, Mr. Cochran has made an amended motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it because I have questions about this.
All right, Mrs. Doolin has seconded the amended motion. Okay, now discussion. Ms. Doolin?
So Ms. Stack earlier said that last year we sold 155 million in bonds. Was that correct?
For our big sale, yes.
And then this year, it says 288 million, but we already put 60 million from fund balance. So are we looking at 228 million? Or is there a number of what we're being asked to sell? I think maybe that's where some of the confusion is.
The planned bond sale is 228 million.
And that includes the additional costs that came up. We just learned about it over the weekend, which is the 17 million. Is that right, Mr. Cochran, that you pointed out?
I totaled it up. I'm quite sure it came to 17.2 million.
The 17 million is the entire cost of the project. The amount of additional costs for the central office is just under 2 million.
But the additional cost for all the projects is 17.5?
No.
17.2 is what?
17.2.
Gotcha.
That's counting all the underestimates, as Dr. Royster put it a minute ago, instead of overruns. And this also, I think, was taking into consideration the $4 million that was saved. That was also factored in there as well to come up with 17.2, if I remember correctly.
If you look on page 175 by project, Donaldson Career Center goes from 68.1 down to 63.4. Bryson Middle goes from 104.9, rounding them up, to 107.8. Fountain Inn K8 goes from 99.6 to 105.6. Ralph Chandler Middle goes from 23.0 to 28.4. Food Nutrition goes from 12 to 13 to 14 million, right at 14 million. And the DO goes from 15 million to 17.2. And Mars goes from 23.7 to 28.7.
When we're considering the annual budget, we all get together at least 3 times and argue for hours and hours over 3 million or 5 million or 8 million in a tax increase. But I mean, this is really significant, like 70 million more than last year. And we haven't even talked about what that looks like on a tax bill.
Dylan, do you have another question?
I guess to answer your question or observation, we presented this in April. Every project in here was presented in April. And some of those projects have been on the long-range facility plan for multiple years. In fact, if you go look on it right now, you'll see what we presented to you that you approved for the next 10 to 12 years. So there is a very lengthy process that goes over more than one meeting, committee of the whole, board meeting, and then comes back to you in the summer to approve the budget. And most every one of those projects, unless it was added this year, have been the subject of debate and discussion for multiple years.
Okay, well, my final question then is, what does the 17.2 million increase in these costs look like for taxes? going forward?
It has no impact to the millage. Everything we've recommended to you is inside the 48.5 mills that have been levied for 2 years now. And prior to that, it was 51 mills.
And this is the first year for the 48.5. But I'd also like to say that the amount of bonds we sell is based on the cash flow needs, because we have a capacity of bonds that we can sell. We can't go over an 8% debt limit. So we have to come up with a cash flow plan. So the amount of bonds that we're selling this year is paying for a project that lasts, that will take 3 to 4 years to build. So we have to make sure we have enough cash on hand to pay for that school. So it's not a one-for-one. We have an approved CIP, which you all approve, and then we look at the amount of revenue that we can receive to be able to pay for the bonds that we sell. So it all works together. So if we sell more bonds this year, it may be to help pay for some expenses next year in the project plan, because we don't have the capacity to sell, enough bonds in any one year to pay for all the schools, all the buildings, all the expenses on our CIP plan.
I was just trying to understand Mr. Cochran's line of thinking, and that this feels like a large increase, but what I'm hearing is there's really no difference in taxes going forward.
No, we stay inside the 48.5 mills.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Doolin. Mr. Sailors?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Dr. Royster captured one of my questions, which was our CIP plan is based on the 48 plus mills, and it is structured so we stay below the 48 mills, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to say that again. Okay, now, 22 years ago, we vacated this building for renovations. Put in new windows because they needed it, new air conditioning systems. I would imagine, Dr. Royster, those systems and those efficiencies have already outlasted their usefulness in this building.
So tied in with this, we've got to do some replacement of HVAC in this building. You may also recall I mentioned to you there were structural
that was my next thing.
Facade issues, the external facade and some structural issues related to them that need to be addressed as well.
Well, and if I remember correctly, back then, that was a decision that we collectively put off, correcting those structural issues because of the cost, and now the bills come due.
And there is some funding in Mars to offset the HVAC portion of the existing building.
Correct. So again, I'm in construction by profession. These numbers don't scare me. I've seen school systems with smaller projects with higher increases than this. So as much as I appreciate the concern of the volume of the number, when you're talking billions of dollars in our portfolio, and I thought I'd never say this, 100 million's pocket change. Because we've got billions of dollars in our portfolio from a property standpoint in all of the buildings that we have. And these numbers are within the industry guidelines of what I'm seeing in my world right now. So I think what's been recommended originally is the way we should go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sailors. Anybody else have a question? Mr. Cochran, back to you.
Again, as far as recommendation for the board as to what we do with that, if we take off the central office addition from the list, then of course we would avoid that underestimated $2.15 million. So basically that would leave us at 15 million. Well, if we simply do not add in all these extra increases that we're on that long-range facility capital improvements updates, then again, that would be almost exactly $15 million. So if we at this point took the central office addition out, then that would be approximately $15 million, and so would all of these extra costs where we had underestimated back in April. And so in that stage, I think it could just be easily applied to those underestimates, and it would about balance it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. Ms. Goodwin-Caldwell?
We have a crumbling building here that we need to take care of. I mean, you have to take care of your properties. And we pay these experts the big bucks to bring the things to us. We need to listen to them. We need to listen to them. I mean, nickeling and diming, that ain't the way to go. So I agree with the recommendation that the administration has brought, because this building has been here. How old is this building?
Occupied in 73.
Yeah, 50-something years old. We got to take care of our properties. And with all of the tariffs and all of the construction costs going up, we're going to have to pay. So I agree with the administration. I just wanted to put in my 2 cents.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin-Caldwell. If there are no other questions, I did want to make a comment. As someone who's been in the district for years as a principal prior to coming on the board, I've been in this district office a lot. And I've been not just in the central area in the boardroom, I've been around through all of these wings, upstairs and downstairs. As a matter of fact, just a couple weeks ago, I was here on some business, and I was a little early, and I decided to walk through back in the budgets department all around and just thank some people for their service while I was waiting. And I'm going to tell you what I saw. It was hurtful to me. I saw people working in little small cubicles, just a little square. And beside them was another little square, to the right and to the left, and so it continued. And I asked one of the ladies, I was like, where do you do your filing? And she showed me a file cabinet that was pretty much up under her legs. It was insufficient. I think we have to think about our personnel here. The people who work for us very hard for limited wages to support us in our efforts to support our students and raise achievement. They have a very critical role. I support their role. And also, you know, I've been an employee myself. I was fortunate enough to have an office with a window. No windows in these cubicles. And I don't know if any of you have ever worked in a cubicle without light, other than the light above you, without being able to see outside, not knowing the weather. Also having the need to maybe make a personal call, and the person to your right and the person to the left can hear everything you have to say. That is not appropriate working conditions. I am very much in favor of moving forward with this renovation at the central office. It's really simple. We're out of room. Our constituents who come to these board meetings when there's no place to sit and they're out in the lobby, they're standing on the back row, they deserve more. Our employees deserve more. You can walk right outside. I'll gladly show anybody, if you haven't noticed, the structural crack right outside. We cannot continue to ignore this problem. There is a need, and it's time to address it. For everybody involved, our constituents and our employees, and for everybody who works in this office building. I believe that's our responsibility. This office is just as important as any school. Our employees who work here, they are just as important as our employees in our school. And we need to continue to make this facility a priority, just like all facilities are a priority. So that's my comment and my feeling about it. And I hope that this board will support moving forward with the renovations. Ms. Linda Leventis Wells?
Dr. Royster, when was this building last renovated?
It was renovated in 2007. No space was added, but it was renovated.
Because I remember that our board meetings were over at the old Wade Hampton Elementary.
Exactly, yes. 2006, we moved out 18 months and moved back in, seemed to me like in December of 06 or 07. It was in the middle of the year.
So when the renovation was done, this was completely redone. Is that correct?
There used to be metal walls in the building, what they call movable partitions. And they'd moved them so many times they were all dented, where they'd hit them with hammers, putting them back in. You could literally hear people 3 offices down. That was replaced with sheetrock, and all the other work areas that were not offices were replaced with cubicles. The other renovations, carpet, paint, and HVAC work. Well, the HVAC is now at the end of reaching the end of its useful life.
Put a new electrical service in too.
Yeah, we had to put new electric service in. We put new windows in. So part of this is going back into doing some things in the existing part. The other part is, we've jammed as many folks in here as can fit in here, considering it was built to serve a district that in 1974 probably had, 48,000 students or something like that. And at the time had 5 area offices as well. And then, as obviously been mentioned before, this boardroom is now woefully inadequate for the number of people that come to board meetings, not sufficient meeting space and that sort of thing. Well, the intent is that this should serve the district easily for 25, 30 more years. And the building itself probably for 50 more years.
With the new addition.
With the new addition. Now, obviously, in the intervening years, there would have to be renovation. Before we recommended any of this, we looked at the possibility of selling this property. And you get a lot of interest in it for, what would seem to be very attractive financial numbers. But not when you go look at, you got to go buy another piece of property and replicate the building. We even actually looked at some other buildings that were for sale that were large enough. The amount of work that would have to go into them would be way above this amount and way above what selling this would generate.
I've had several people ask if we're going to sell the building, and I reassure them, no.
Because it would cost too much to replace it.
So I certainly understand where Ms. Doolin and Mr. Cochran are coming from, because when you had a budget that was given a few months ago and it's increased 15 million, I understand. I do understand that we need to keep our facilities updated, and we need to extend and make sure that, are we going to get rid of the cuticles, or will those still remain?
No, we'll still have cubicles because of the layout of the building necessitates that. There's no way to go in and put offices through all of it. We wouldn't have enough space for that. But we'd be able to, you have larger cubicle areas. You heard Dr. Stiles describe how they're pretty well jammed into them now. You go back, some of them, there's like 8 people in one cubicle area.
Maybe you can add a window to that cuticle.
They'd only be able to look into the next cubicle, unfortunately.
A little humor in this discussion.
But it does maximize the areas around the exterior of the building where you can have a window. And it does add meeting spaces in a number of spaces. You heard Dr. Stiles reference, if you work on those cubicles, if you need to make a like a personal call or just something you need to talk about that everybody doesn't need to hear that, there would be spaces you could go to do that. And there really aren't any now. There's no vacant rooms in this building.
You're going to take care of that.
Certainly for the near future.
My near future.
I would say based on the growth the district's experienced in the last 10 to 20 years, it certainly should hold 10 to 20 more years. Not having to add to the building, but maybe having to reconfigure inside it.
Oh.
That addition should carry this district, particularly given the nature of the way work may be evolving and changing. It should, I would estimate, though I'll not be here to see it.
I will not either.
Oh, I don't think either one of us will be here to see it, because I believe it will last as long as this building has lasted. This was a well-built building. There's some things I think people would do differently now if they were doing it again, but it was a reasonably well-designed building, and it served the district from 1973 until now, and will, with investment in it, continue to serve the district.
Well, with that being said, I understand, like I said, what Sarah and Jeff were saying, but I'm embracing this move and updating and making sure. The thing that bothers me is I'm concerned about if there's going to be another increase by the time we get estimates.
Well, that's one reason Ms. Wells, one reason we want to get these out the door as quickly as we can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ventus Wells. Last call for questions. All right, hearing none, we have an amended motion from Mr. Cochran. All who are in favor of...
Chairman?
Yes.
Could we have a roll call vote, please?
We sure can. All who are in favor of replacing the original motion with the amended motion, you make it known when your name is called.
Ms. Brett?
I abstain.
Mr. Klein?
No.
Mr. Cochran?
Yes.
Ms. Doolin? Ms. Goodwin-Caldwell?
No.
Hold on just a moment. Ms. Doolin, if you will turn on your mic, and if you would go back to Mrs. Doolin and do the call so the audience can hear.
Ms. Doolin? Ms. LaVentus Wells?
No.
Ms. Middleton?
You're voting on the amended motion, which is to remove the district office from the list of projects. So either you're in favor of that or not.
I'm not in favor of removing the district office.
Okay, so the answer would be no.
No.
Ms. Morrison Fair?
No.
Ms. Mosley?
No.
Dr. Presley? Mr. Sailors?
No.
Dr. Stiles?
No. Okay.
There.
And what is the total?
There is 1 yes, 10 noes, and 1 abstain.
Thank you so much. And that amended motion fails. So we're going to return to the original motion at this time, which has already been made and seconded. Any discussion on the original motion before we move forward with the vote? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All opposed, no. The original motion carries. Right. Our 15th action item is Food and Nutrition Services budget. We have a recommended motion from administration. I need a maker of the motion.
Madam Chairman, I move to approve the administration's recommendation.
Mr. Sailors has made a motion. Mrs. Doolin has made a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our 17th action item is our 16th action item is 5.16, special revenue budgets. We have a recommended motion from administration. I need a maker of the motion.
Oh, what the heck, Madam Chairman? I'll make a motion to approve the administration's recommendation related to special revenue budgets.
Second.
Mr. Sailors has made a motion, and Ms. Anne Marie Middleton has made a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Our 17th action item is election of board officers. And I will be holding the election for the secretary and the vice chair, and then I'll be asking Ms. Mosley to handle the election for the chair because I'm a candidate. Let's start with board secretary. We have one candidate who is running for board secretary, and that's Dr. Ann Presley. All in favor of Dr. Presley, please raise your hand. Congratulations, Dr. Presley. You will be our new board secretary. That's a unanimous vote. And we have one candidate for vice chair, and that is Miss Angie Mosley. All in favor of Miss Mosley, raise your hand. And again, that is a unanimous vote. Congratulations, Miss Mosley, for another term as vice chair. And at this time, I'm going to ask Miss Mosley if she will hold the election for the board chair, since we have two candidates.
Thank you so much. We have two candidates. We have Anne Marie Middleton and we have Dr. Carolyn Stiles. And do we just do this as a show of hands? Is that what we do? Okay. So all in favor of, we'll do this in alphabetical order. Ms. Middleton, show of hands. Okay. All in favor of Dr. Stiles, show of hands. Okay, and so Dr. Stiles, congratulations on
Thank you so
serving
much.
as chair for the upcoming year.
Thank you. It's certainly an honor to continue in that role. Let's see. Our next agenda item is 6.01, committee liaison reports. Would anyone like to share the work of their committee tonight? No one? Okay. Our final agenda item is 8.01, monthly finance report. The file attachments are presented as information. Does anyone have questions regarding to any of the April 25 reports from Mrs. Stack? Okay. No questions? Okay. Hearing none, this concludes our agenda. Thank you again. Adjourn. Thank you again for your presence, everyone. And Mrs. Leventis Wells has made a motion to adjourn. Ms. Mosley has made a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. We are adjourned at 7:28 p.m. Have a great night, everyone.